Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Knutson with Fairfax County's Department of Transportation, and I want to welcome you all to welcome you to this meeting to discuss the traffic calming plan for Kingstowne Commons Drive. And we can start with introductions. And tonight from FCDOT, we have Ryan O'Carroll, Grace Vaughn, Ebony Smith, and Beverly Duran joining. And from the Franconia District Supervisor's Office, we have Aaron Campbell. Ryan has a short presentation to go through. And after the presentation, we'll open the meeting up to the community for any questions or comments. And if any of the community's task force members are logged on to tonight's meeting, they can introduce themselves following the presentation. Aaron, is there anything you'd like to say before we start?
Nope, Steve. Just if anyone has any additional questions or anything for me, I'll put my email into the chat so folks have it. That's all.
All right, thanks, Aaron. And Ryan, if you're ready to go, you can start the presentation.
Sure, thanks, Steve. All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. Tonight, we are going to discuss the traffic calming program for Kingstowne Commons Drive. The Fairfax County Department of Transportation and Fairfax Connector operate programs and services without regard to race, color, and the national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. For more information, please visit the website listed in the presentation slide. So welcome. Please note that this session is being recorded and may be shared on social media. Please hold all questions until the end of the presentation. And instructions for how to ask your questions will be provided at the end of the presentation. So today we are going to explain the traffic calming process, provide an opportunity for community feedback, and answer any questions anyone may have. So what is traffic calming? Traffic calming is the installation of physical devices to reduce vehicle speed. These devices can either be vertical or horizontal. Vertical devices are driven over, such as the speed hump shown in the upper left-hand corner. Horizontal devices can be driven around, such as the raised median island shown in the upper right-hand corner. Both types of devices make the roadway safer for drivers and pedestrians. Please note that through this process, we are not permitted to install stop signs. Here we have charts and images showing the effects of decreased speed. As speed decreases, visual acuity, field of vision, and depth perception increase. Also, with reduced speed, we can see a decrease in stopping distance. Here is a map displaying traffic calming projects across Fairfax County. With over 279 projects resulting in more than 665 devices countywide, every district has implemented traffic calming measures. The chances that you've driven over one are quite high. FCDOT and the District Supervisor's Office collaborate with citizens on all community-initiated projects. The program can be broken down into 5 steps. Step 1 is project initiation. Step 2 is plan development. Step 3 is community engagement. Step 4 is the ballot phase. And the final step, Step 5, is project installation. All traffic calming projects are community initiated. The process begins with a request from the community to the District Supervisor's Office. Once the request is received, FCDOT will complete a basic eligibility review. If eligible, FCDOT will then conduct a traffic study. And if the eligibility and traffic study requirements are met, the community will then form a task force. To meet the basic eligibility requirements, the roadway must be VDOT maintained, have a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, be functionally classified as local, collector, or arterial, and if it is a collector or arterial, it needs to be a residential street. Once passing basic eligibility requirements, we move on to conduct a traffic study. For the volume criteria, we need between 500 to 6,000 vehicles in 24 hours, both directions combined. For Kingstowne Commons Drive, we had 2,489 vehicles, so we met the volume criteria. For the speed criteria, the recorded 85th percentile speed needs to be greater than or equal to 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. This means that 15% of vehicles will need to be traveling at 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit or faster in at least one direction of travel. The 85th percentile speed was 36 miles per hour in the northbound lane and 35 miles per hour in the southbound lane, which means that Kingstowne Commons Drive met the speed criteria in both travel lanes. The next step is plan development. FCDOT will conduct a site visit in the field in order to develop a draft plan. Once a draft plan has been developed, FCDOT will meet with the task force to obtain feedback and amend the plan if necessary. Then once the task force is satisfied with the draft plan, property owners directly adjacent to any proposed measures must sign off on the device placement before proceeding to the next step of the project. There are device placement requirements for vertical devices. The devices must be a minimum of 300 feet between measures and from existing stop conditions, a minimum of 150 feet from intersections, a minimum of 150 feet for continuous sight distance, and it also has to fit within the existing roadway. So we must have to consider driveways, manholes, utilities, and the grade of the road. So based on those requirements, we created a field map that gives us an idea of where we can place a device. Highlighted in green are possible locations on Kingstowne Commons Drive. After reviewing the field map, we then conduct a field review to see if a device can fit on the existing roadway. Based on available options in our site visit, FCDOT is able to propose 3 speed tables along Kingstowne Commons Drive. The listed addresses are those of property owners who signed the adjacent property forms because the devices are directly adjacent to their property. Here we have the speed table schematic. The speed table is 22 feet long and 3 inches high at the center. There will be a white chevron in each travel lane and speed hump signs with a recommended speed of 50 miles per hour on each side of the speed table. This is a larger image of what the speed table would look like from the side of the street, with it being 22 feet in length and 3 inches high at center. Step 3 is the community meeting, which is where we are today. At this stage, FCDOT presents a plan to the community to gather feedback. Based on this feedback, the task force will decide whether to amend the plan or to move to the next phase. If the task force decides to move forward, we will move to the ballot phase. During the ballot phase, each occupied property in the ballot area will receive 1 vote and send it directly to the district supervisor's office. The ballot period will be open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and the district supervisor's office will tally the votes and notify the task force of the results. On this slide, we have an example of the ballot. The proposed devices will be listed on the ballot, and the community will be voting for the entire plan. The task force is responsible for distributing the ballot packages to everyone in the ballot area. There are 3 ways to return your ballot by the deadline. You can mail your ballot directly into the district supervisor's office. You can hand deliver it directly to the district supervisor's office, or you can email it directly to the district supervisor's office. Please note that all ballots must be directly turned into the district supervisor's office using one of these 3 methods. Any ballots collected by the task force will not be counted. Here's a ballot area for Kingstowne Commons Drive. In total, there are 334 ballots. In order for the proposed plan to move forward, we will need greater than 50% of all occupied properties to vote in favor. Therefore, we will need 168 yes votes. And if the required number of yes votes are met, we move forward to step 5, which is project installation. The traffic calming plan will be presented to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for endorsement, and the resolution will be sent to VDOT. Once endorsed and VDOT accepts the resolution, FCDOT will work with the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to schedule installation. Finally, the traffic measures outlined in the plan will be installed. After tonight's meeting, the task force will need to follow these next steps. The task force notifies Fairfax County if they would like to move forward with the presented plan. An optional meeting is available to meet with FCDOT to review the balloting process and this meeting is highly recommended to ensure a smooth balloting process. The task force in the district supervisor's office will notify FCDOT if the ballots in the ballot area are to be distributed to the property owners or occupants. The task force also completes the ballot cover letter provided by FCDOT, including task force contact information, ballot received by date, ballot closed by date, and any additional information the task force would like to include. The task force will also send the completed ballot cover letter to FCDOT for approval. Once approved, they will receive the verified ballot package. And for the final step, the task force will need to print and distribute all ballots to the properties in the ballot area. This concludes the presentation, and now we can move on to the questions and answers portion of the meeting tonight. You have two options to ask your questions, chat or speak. Once the chat item is activated on Teams, you can use it by typing your question. If you want to speak, please click the raise your hand icon, and once the host calls on you to speak, you can unmute yourself by clicking the mic icon or pressing Control, Shift, and M on your keyboard. Please lower your hand once you are done asking your question. If you are on the phone, please press *5 to raise your hand when it is your turn to speak, and then the host sends you a request on mute. Press *6 to unmute yourself and ask your question. Once you are finished, press *5 to again lower your hand and press *6 to mute yourself. At this time, please feel free to ask any questions you may have, and we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Bruce Horowitz on Brayley Lane. Could you explain if there is a choice in the 3-inch height of the table, or is that a standard unit for a 25-mile-an-hour arterial street?
I'm sorry about the delay there, Mr. Horowitz. No, the 3 inches is standard for VDOT and their devices on a 25-mile-an-hour posted speed limit, or road with a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. So that is, the height that they will allow us to build these devices on a road posted at that speed limit.
And will they be tapered on either side? Because as you know, some of them are very abrupt and others can be more gradual, but I think they have the same net effect of slowing traffic, which is a very important thing on this street.
So it will be tapered as it goes down to the driving surface. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, yes.
So as you can see, I guess you're on the phone, so you're not able to actually see.
No, I'm now on video. I didn't have video. I couldn't log in, but I have the video. I'm looking at your pictures right now. Thank you.
So for the schematic in the bottom left-hand corner, they have a cross section, the detailed cross section for that device, and you can see the build up. So it builds up over the course of the first 6 feet, flattens out for the next 10 feet, and then goes back down to the road surface over the last 6 feet. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Looks like we have Louise. You're up next.
Thank you. I only have a very quick question, which is kind of confusing. The 10%, 85th percentile. Can you please put it in lane terms? What is the percentage of the 2,400 cars that were recorded on Kingstowne Commons Drive that were speeding above 25 miles per hour? Or what was the percentage of the cars that were speeding at 10 miles above the speed limit if that's the case? I mean, it's something more in the lane term because, you know, that 10% of the percentile, I'm like, it's very confusing. I've tried to interpret it. Apparently there is, I guess, different ways of interpreting. I want to know exactly what is the percentage of cars that are driving over the speed limit, or at least what would be considered, you know, I don't know,
So,
5 miles or more of the speed limit.
so Mr. Gaspar, I don't have the exact percentage of people that were going over 25 miles an hour, but basically what we're saying here, and the 85th percentile speed is something that, you know, the industry throughout the country uses to like help determine speed limit. So it's like a common value that's used whenever there's like a roadway and they're trying to determine the appropriate speed limit. One of the tools that they use is the 85th percentile speed. So basically this means on Kingstowne Commons for a 24-hour period, you had almost 2,500 vehicular trips in that 24-hour period. And of those 2,500 trips, we had about 373 trips doing greater than 10 miles over the posted speed limit. So, you know, I mean, that's a fairly significant number. And, you know, that's kind of what the 85th percentile speed reflects in this case, which is about 373 trips over 10 miles over the posted speed limit.
So there's no way of us knowing exactly, say, I mean, I get it, but like to me in this stretch of road, due to the type of people that, you know, walk around with dogs, with kids, you know, bicycles and all that. I mean, for me, 5 miles above the speed limit could be an exaggeration already, and probably for a lot of other residents. So you have no idea what would be the percentage if we were going to say how many cars, you know, what was the percentage or number of cars that drove at 30 miles per hour or more.
No, we didn't run the numbers using, you know, the 5 or 10 miles over. All we do is, you know, apply that 85th percentile speed to the data set that we collected. And it basically gives us what number that 85th percentile speed is. So we have a qualifier for the program, which is, you know, the 85th percentile speed has to be 35 miles an hour or greater. And if the road qualifies, then we feel, you know, fairly confident that we can, you know, go forward with, proposing some remediation for the speeding concern that's been identified. And then the community through the ballot process can make a determination if they want to go ahead and have the remediation applied.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
We have a question in chat from Chris. What is the projected timeline for this process to be completed and for the speed table to be installed?
Well, we still have to have the task force determine if they want to go forward to the ballot. And if it passes the ballot, then it would probably be anywhere from, you know, 4 to 8 months after that ballot process. And, you know, we could still be, you know, a month and a half out from that ballot process concluding. So overall, it could still be another 6 to 10 months before we are done.
Thank you. We got a caller with the last 4 digits of 1455. You can go ahead. That's a caller on the line with the last digits of 1455.
I'm not sure that that's my last 4 digits, 0096.
No, we do see you. There is somebody else with their hand up, and
Oh, okay.
and their phone number is 400-1455. And currently they're unmuted, so if they could possibly unmute themselves and ask their question. And if we're having problems, Ebony, perhaps we can move on to the next
Yes,
phone.
this is Gail Salgado at
Hello.
Abbotsbury Road.
Uh-huh.
Yes. My question is, were speed bumps ever considered rather than the speed tables? Like it is on Russell Road in Alexandria or Silver Brick Road right behind Lane Elementary School. I mean, to me, they seem to be more effective for slowing down traffic. I've lived here for 27 years, and the speeders, the people, they use a thoroughfare to get through to Beulah, and it's so unsafe for the children going to the elementary school and children in our neighborhood. And I'd just like to see something as efficient as possible put out there to help them.
Okay. So, we did offer as an option, a speed hump or a speed table at the 3 locations. And at that point, the task force, considered amongst themselves what would be the best approach. And I believe that they, thought the speed table would be effective, and also that the majority of the community might be, willing to have these devices placed on the road. So that's, I believe that was kind of the thought process from the community task force as to why they went with the speed table as opposed to the speed hump. But
And you
hopefully,
say the community task force, that was the community, did
So
they get a vote in that?
we had a
Because I
working,
didn't receive anything.
right, and you will at some point. And also the task force, they'll listen to what's being talked about tonight, and then, make a determination of if they want to change modify the plan at all, or if they want to go ahead and move forward with what we have here tonight. And so, if you, reach out to the task force, we'll try to get you contact information and let them know that, you would like to consider, speed humps as opposed to speed tables. They would take that under consideration.
Okay, how do I get in touch with the task force?
Okay, I think we're going to have you reach out to Aaron Campbell, and I believe his contact information is in the chat. I guess if you're on the phone, you're not going to be able to see that, but
Correct.
we can give you contact information to that office. So, Aaron, do you want to share like your work phone number or your work email address with the person?
Or you have my number. I mean, he can contact me. That
Right.
would be easier.
I think it would probably be best if you reach out to Aaron. So you can also call the Franconia office. Okay. And this is
Okay.
district supervisors that this area falls under, and they're the ones that they're kind of your point of contact for this process. Okay.
Okay.
And
Wonderful.
the phone number, are you ready? Is 703 971 6262.
971-6262, area code 703. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I've written down your phone number as well, and whoever calls each other first. How about that?
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Next caller with the hand raise has the last 4 digits of 4421. Go ahead. Caller with the last digits of 4421.
And we do see that you're unmuted, so we should be able to.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Thanks for the presentation. It's very helpful. Dave Borden. I live on Gillingham Row in Collingwood. What happens if you don't get the required votes? Is it just a dead issue and or do you have like a moratorium before you consider something else in the future?
That's correct. So it would be a 2-year wait period before the road can come back into the program.
Okay, thanks. And what I don't know if this is just commenting here. It's sort of a question. Living here for a while, it seems like a lot of the cut-through traffic is primarily because the lights in the area on the Parkway, Manchester, and Hayfield for traffic flow. I don't know. They seem like they're intended to stop people more often, and so people are trying to get around that. I don't know if there's been any assessment about synchronizing the traffic lights to improve the flow, so people aren't trying to cut through so often.
Okay, so VDOT, Virginia Department of Transportation, is in charge of the signals throughout the county. So we would need to reach out to them. Again, you would probably, Aaron, would you be able to help this person see if there's like any kind of signal timing improvement that can be done on a specific intersection or a number of different intersections? You said it was, I'm sorry, what intersection were you concerned about?
Well, the people who are cutting through using Kingstowne Commons as a cut through, it's primarily because of the lights that are on Beulah, Manchester, and Hayfield. That they're trying to get around the lack of synchronization, primarily on Hayfield. If you went from the Parkway to Hayfield going to the school or to the Coast Guard, you're going to get stuck at every single one of those lights by design.
Okay,
so that's why people are primarily cutting through Kingstowne Commons, because they can cut through, hit Kingstowne Village, and then hang a right on Hayfield.
So you feel it's those couple of lights at, like Beulah and the Parkway, Manchester and Silver Lake, and possibly Manchester and Hayfield that are causing some concern?
Well, I think that's where you're getting a lot of speeding cut-through traffic. For sure, there's plenty of residents here who speed. I'm walking that road and on it every day, and definitely people speed. Most people don't even adhere to the center line, that people are speeding. So I can see why it's an issue, but there are other issues. The lack of the light, the synchronization in this area. A lot of people try and get around it, by trying to find any road that doesn't have a stoplight on it.
Okay, we, like I said, we would need to have that discussion with VDOT, and we'll see if there's like any other concerns that they've had regarding that area. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry for the long long comment there, but I really appreciate it, and thank you for the presentation. Very helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a couple different questions in chat. Somebody asked about the no parking signs on Kingstowne Commons Drive, and Aaron was able to share that the street is scheduled to be repaved by VDOT coming up soon. Another question, will the speed humps be illuminated or have reflective paint? Please explain how drivers will see these traffic calming devices at dusk and evening.
Okay. So Ryan, if you can possibly bring back the schematic, as you can see here that they will have the painted chevrons that are, the paint is reflective, and then they will also have signs facing in both directions. So there'll be something on the roadway, then something on the shoulder or on the side of the road, indicating that the device is there and that should be visible during the night. We will also find, if we do this installation, we will also find the correct locations for advanced signage warning drivers ahead of time before they get to the device that there is a speed hump on the roadway that they're driving on. So they should be properly warned, and they should be visible to be seen during the daytime and night.
Okay, thank you. The next question, it seems the bumps will be close together and mostly around Gadsby Square. Why not place one further down Kingstowne Commons Drive?
So we do have some spacing criteria that I do believe that that Ryan went into, and that kind of kept us from working on that part of the roadway that I think that you're referring to. So we weren't able to move too much further down Kingstowne because of the spacing. And Ryan now has the map up indicating, if you're able to see the map in the presentation, the areas that are highlighted on Kingstowne Commons with the green are areas that we consider for the devices. And those are basically the three areas where we are able to put forward the devices that we're looking at tonight.
Okay, thank you. And there was another question about the impact of traffic calming projects on communities' property value.
So far, I mean, we've been doing this for, a good 20 years, and we're not seeing any reduction. We're not hearing any concerns. Nationwide, I think there was a test there was an analysis that was done, but it was, maybe back in the late 90s. And I believe it was suburban Atlanta that indicated that there was no positive or negative impact from the placement of devices on a roadway.
Okay, will the speed tables be designed so that fire engines are not negatively impacted by the tables? And they point to City of Alexandria, who has special things for the fire equipment.
So on this particular installation, we are not putting cutouts for fire and rescue. We basically inform fire and rescue when we're going through this process. If they feel that a road is highly traveled or used by fire and rescue, then they will let us know, and we'll take that under consideration to, add in the cutouts. But we do feel that, we've only placed cutouts on one roadway on two devices throughout the history of the program. There is some concern that that might kind of negate some of the speed reduction. So unless fire and rescue lets us know that they feel, devices on a particular roadway need to have the cutouts, then, we will proceed without. And that is the case with Kingstowne Commons.
Okay, based on similar neighborhoods, what is the likelihood that enough people will vote to approve the plan? They're concerned that people who like to speed on the road or haven't experienced the problem won't vote to approve it.
I mean, this is a fairly, good sized area. The ballot will be a challenge. But we have seen, greater than 168 return yes vote. So it is possible, but, I definitely don't want to, say that this is an easy task ahead. Pardon me. So, all we can say is, we have a minimum time frame for that ballot process to be open. We would recommend, the minimum time frame of 3 weeks. We would definitely recommend leaving it open for a greater length of time, and then also using any time prior to the release of the ballots to reach out to your community members and try to gain some, exposure and support for this process.
Okay, another question. If you could speak to how long the speed humps will last before they'll need to be repaired and replaced. They ask, is it a combination of number of cars and speed at which the cars can drive over the humps?
So it would probably be, the greatest impact is just going to be the number of vehicles traveling across or the type of vehicle going across. So obviously, the more heavy equipment or the more heavy vehicles are going to cause more damage to these devices. And, if they are coming apart, if they are getting, losing asphalt on the surface of the device, we can see if VDOT will come back in and do some patch or repair work on the devices during the lifespan of the road. It appears that, if Aaron is saying that you guys are being repaved, then there's a good chance that the next time you come up for repaving might be a few years in the future.
Okay, and Aaron also shared the link to request VDOT, I think with the light synchronization. He shared that link.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, I'd also add if anyone is trying to reach out to us, it's difficult sometimes to get a hold of VDOT, but I'm happy to help, get you in touch. We don't decide these things, but, I do this all the time, getting people in touch with VDOT, and we're happy to do it for you. You can email us at franconia@fairfaxcounty.gov, and, it'll get to me, and I'll be happy to help you make those requests. Again, that's franconia@fairfaxcounty.gov.
All right, thanks, Aaron.
So we have Mr. Gaspar has a hand raised. Mr. Gaspar?
Yes. So going going according to what some things have been said here, and let's call it the east side of Commons Drive, so the opposite end of Beulah, that lacks some kind of a speed device. I am trying to understand here. I get about the, public utilities, in and out of neighborhood, but isn't there something else that can be done to also do some controlling of the traffic on that stretch? It seems to me that obviously Virginia VDOT values anything but life or people's well-being. Because I mean, if they put so many restrictions, what can be done? Nothing. You just leave it as is, and that's it.
So, we did take a look at that end of the roadway, and for the vertical devices, we weren't able to consider anything down there. It is possible if there is still an issue on Kingstowne Commons, if these devices go in place and, you still see a continuous issue, especially on that part of the roadway. The only other thing we can really consider is maybe some horizontal, some narrowing of the roadway. The only problem with that is you would probably lose parking. And I think that parking might be pretty needed on Kingstowne Commons, but that would be something the community could consider. So we could, possibly build out from the side of the roadways to physically narrow the travel lanes to hopefully get some speed reduction that way. But that's about the last resort we have for that end of the roadway, and that would definitely impact parking.
So you're saying kind of an island?
Possibly a median island, or either that or build out from the edges. Either way. So you could put in a median island. There is probably a little bit more difficult to place. You just have to be sure that you have the right, turning radiuses on the roadway to allow that device to go into place.
And that would be the only solution, because based on experience, and not that I'm the oldest resident of Kingstowne Commons Village Drive, been here probably around 7-8 years only, but I can attest that even with the cars parked, people still speed through. That's not a deterrent for them. So anything that you build, and let's say the agreement would be, okay, let's give up on parking to try and control speed. I don't think that narrowing the road does anything. So that's why I'm, you know,
Right.
really
And
frustrated by what VDOT regulations are, because it seems to them, you know, who cares? It's just car speeding. That's the you know, the message I get, kind of.
okay. All right. Well, we're trying to do what we can on the part that we can work on. So right now, if we can, you know, see
No,
if
no,
we're
I'm
able
not
to
blaming.
it would be
I'm not
great.
blaming you. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, you know, because you gotta work with VDOT. I'm just trying to understand, you know, at what point VDOT has other solutions. There are real solutions, because certainly speed humps, speed tables are much more effective than anything else. Who
Okay.
am I?
All right. Well, I think we do have some other hands up. If we can go ahead and move on.
Steve, real quick. I have
Yes.
one
go
thing. I have one thing to add on that, but it's been through a process that's been separate to this traffic calming. So as I mentioned, that there's going to be repaving. As the neighborhood may have gotten notification, you know, there was like a proposal for bike lanes, and they decided not to move forward with the bike lanes. But instead, one of the things, because I knew that there was requests for traffic calming in this area, one of the things I asked VDOT to look at instead was installing parking lanes. And one of the things that parking lanes does is help narrow the driving lanes, and when you do that, it is a form of traffic calming, and that can help lower the speeds of drivers along the street as well. And so when the roads are repaved and restriped, you will be getting a double yellow line and also parking lines, which are the white lines on either side, and that should help narrow some of the travel lines as well, which will help slow things down as well.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Next caller with number ending in 0096. Caller with 0096, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi there. I'm sorry, I was on muted.
Okay.
Firstly, I would say that I just want to say I'm glad that something is going in place, or hopefully, if people vote the right way. And I agree with others on this call about the you know, the problems that we face. I run in the community all the time, and you know, the speeding down this street in Hayfield is pretty horrendous. Two things I had thoughts on. One is we did have signs up for a little while, or a short while here, that were you know, they would blink and say slow down, that kind of thing. And I kind of witnessed people slowing down because they're not sure if there's a camera there or not. So I was wondering, that was the first thing. I wondered if they could be put back in place. And then the second thing is, in the county of Arlington, they have a lot of issues like this with you know, people cutting through neighborhoods to shortcuts, speedsters, you know, trying to take a shortcut. And the way they tackle it is they put signs up like no through road between certain times. And although it doesn't completely eliminate it, it does reduce the percentage of people going through there. And I wondered if that was, if that had been a consideration as well.
We would have to check on the turn restriction, the cut through. So basically, that would be another program that is available, but I don't think that it's available for Kingstowne Commons, because we generally are not going to apply access restrictions or time of day turn restrictions on a collector road, which I believe Kingstowne Commons is. Grace, if you could take a quick look on VDOT's map and just check to see if Kingstowne Commons is a collector road, or if you have it in your information for your data collection. But we generally are not going to be able to put turn restrictions on Kingstowne Commons if it's a collector road, because it kind of prevents it from doing its ascribed responsibility as far as the overall transportation network is concerned. And then as far as the pole-mounted speed display signs, we don't have those as a long-term installation, but the police do have access to those for a temporary installation, and that would be something that you would need to reach out to the police department and see if they can put it on Kingstowne Commons. I'm assuming they're the ones that put them up in the first place. So that would be a phone call to Fairfax County Police, probably to the Franconia District, and ask if they could put up the pole-mounted speed display signs.
I actually
Okay.
I wrote down your request, and I'll send a request to the police for you. The first time you saw them was because the task force had requested it when we had our meeting for the first time, and police put them up. I have to check. I think they actually got broken, and I have to check if police have been able to get them fixed. But if they've been repaired, then I'll have them put in the queue to put back on.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the answers to the question in your time, and I would say that I did witness a lot of people slow down with those signs, so that would be great.
All right, thank you.
Caller with the last 4 digits of 8312.
It looks like they
Okay.
might have gone away. If you want to
Yeah.
have Will H has his hand up. There you go, Will.
Hey, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
So I got a couple questions. First, can you explain why you selected the locations for those speed tables instead of just doing raised crosswalks? It appears when I look at where they're marked on the road right now, they're near the crosswalk for the school and then near where the trail is. And why are those placed like 100 feet downstream versus just doing raised crosswalks?
We have a setback away from existing intersections that we have to adhere to. So we have to be 300 feet away from the intersection if it's controlled by a stop sign, or 150 feet if it's not controlled by a stop sign on the road that we're working on.
But what if it's a raised crosswalk versus a speed table?
Even that, it's the vertical deflection that the VDOT wants set back from the intersection. We've actually had to negotiate with them to change that setback distance from 200 feet to 150. I know that doesn't seem like much, but it was the best we could get from them. So we did look at those locations. They were just too close to the existing crosswalk was too close to nearest intersection. So that's why those devices were considered.
The other thing I wanted to raise was I live on Heatherfield Lane. I know turning left out of that road, right? It is a limited visibility around that curb. And just using Google Maps, I mean, where you want to place that speed table is about 1,000 feet to the Park Village stop sign. People already accelerate and speed. Are you just going to find people speeding even more because they're trying to make up for lost time over those speed tables?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that people aren't going to negatively change their driving habits.
I mean, but is that realistic in Fairfax County in this area? I mean, people drive like they're crazy maniacs. I guess my point is I have real concerns at Heatherfield. Like there have been multiple times where I've had concerns about somebody coming around a corner too fast and hitting me. And I question, right, if you putting that speed device where it is and leaving nothing downstream is not going to cause more problems. The other piece I'd point out is there is a ton of children, right, given the density, that cross in that area. Is there something you're going to do to try to control that in terms of a crosswalk or something else? I guess my point is this addresses speed, but my real concern is the safety of the residents.
Okay. So we are hoping that if we're able to lower these operating speeds on part of the roadway, then we are going to get some safety enhancement on Kingstowne Commons. It might not be along the whole length of the roadway, but we are doing what we can on the section of the roadway, and we are hoping that we don't cause negative impact on stream from the device. If we are looking for crosswalks, paint a crosswalk on the roadway, we do have an active transportation group you can reach out to. I do believe that, they fairly, backed up as far as their funding is concerned and, what they, need to be working on, that's in their pipeline already. Aaron, I don't know if you have any information regarding, pedestrian activity and pedestrian requests for Kingstowne Commons, but it would be another group for the.
Actually, I do have some good news on that. I should have mentioned this when I mentioned the other repaving news. So, well, there was only, I think, like 2 crosswalks agreed by VDOT to put in the entire county when they did their repaving plan. And one of them is here on Kingstowne Commons Drive at Hollyford, Hollyford Lane, where the crossing is right there. There currently is nothing, and they've agreed to put in a high visibility crosswalk there, and also some parking restrictions and some crossing signs as a result. So there'll be some improvements there for crossing pedestrians.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And I'm assuming Kingstowne Commons is scheduled for this paving season. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's coming up very soon. That's what she was mentioning, that there's no parking signs.
That's right.
On the road.
Yeah, they should be coming soon, shouldn't they? Okay, well, hopefully we will see the striping improvement that Aaron has mentioned, the high visibility crosswalk there near Hollyford, and then the parking lanes. Are the parking lanes for the whole length of Kingstowne? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
We have a couple of questions in chat from Will. VDOT guidance knows that vertical deflection devices like speed tables should be considered only after lower impact measures are found ineffective. What other measures did you evaluate prior to deciding on speed tables?
So generally, we will go ahead and move forward to the physical devices if we have the request from the community and we identify a problem. So as noted by one of the other callers, we have had the pole-mounted speed display signs out, and that would probably be the only other thing besides, the physical presence of police doing traffic enforcement. But once we identify the problem through the program, we do try to move forward with remediation that we have available.
Okay, there was also a comment noting that they're not in favor of decreasing parking, and they asked about what do you mean by collector road?
Grace, did you ever check on that? I'm pretty sure the Kingstowne Commons is a collector road.
I think you're thinking of Kingstowne Village Parkway. Kingstowne Common doesn't have a classification. I think it's local.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I must have misspoke. So a collector road would be, the transportation network for VDOT and for the area has kind of like a hierarchy of roads, and the function that they perform in that hierarchy or in that network, starts with like the local road. So I guess Kingstowne Common is a local road. It's taking traffic from people's homes and delivering it up to a collector road, which collects traffic from a larger area, which then delivers it up to a higher and higher road classification. And so that's what we mean by a local road or a collector road or a minor arterial or major arterial.
Okay, thank you. And then another question from Will. VDOT recommends 250 to 500 feet spacing between devices on 25-mile-per-hour roads to maintain speed control. The current proposal has gaps of 700 to 1,000 feet between the proposed speed tables, which USDOT notes can lead to speed rebound between devices. Has FCDOT modeled actual speed patterns westbound towards Park Village Drive where the gap is 1,000 feet?
So no, we haven't modeled any particular driving behavior on the roadway other than the identified speeding issue that we have. So yes, VDOT has, when they changed their language, they did add the language about the spacing, which is kind of contradictory to then also some of the setback distances that they have from, like intersections and things like that. So we weren't able to really apply that through our process. We've been able to get our operating procedures approved by the Board of Supervisors and, a tacit approval by VDOT. So we go ahead and use our spacing requirement of, 300 feet away from each device and 300 feet away from an existing stop condition, and then 150 feet setback from side loading intersections.
We have a question from a caller with last four digits of 0096. Go ahead.
Okay, this is 0096. My name's Ellen. I'm sorry, I couldn't get on to the website in order to see the presentation. How many of these speed tables are you anticipating putting?
Currently, we have 3 speed tables proposed for this, for Kingstowne Commons. So we have exported the slide presentation to a PDF and we've sent it to the Franconia office, and it will be made available. If you want to reach out to them, they can send you a copy. And then also, this presentation will be available for people to view in the future.
Great. Okay, so I'm close to the Park Village intersection, and what I notice is people turn onto Kingstowne Commons, and it looks to them like it's a speedway, at least going towards Beulah, and they do speed all the way coming back from Beulah to Park Village. But so as long as it's there's, and you're saying the spacing has to be about 500 feet.
So we need 150 feet away from an intersection and then 300 feet away from like a stop sign or a traffic signal.
Okay, but so the 3 of them though, if there's no other stop sign, then it would be, the speed tables would be 500 feet apart?
300 feet apart at a minimum.
Okay. Okay. Great. I think this is great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Looks like Bonnie, you have a question with your hand raised. You can go ahead. Bonnie, you can go ahead and unmute.
Okay, and it looks like she might have put her hand down.
Yeah, I think she did share some questions in chat about the school has flashing speed limit at 25 per hour. Can that be on 24 hours? She also said she can't unmute. There should be a little microphone in the top right-hand corner if you're on your computer.
Sorry, I've been retired for so long, I can't even use the computer anymore. There is a flashing light at the school, 25. Can't that be on 24 hours? And can we add one at Park Village? Because Park Village is just as much speeding as Kingstowne Commons.
Right, so they're only able to use those, you know, the Winkmatics for that school zone when school is in session and doing pickup and drop off.
But that's the speed limit all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's questionable if it is a redundant control on a road that's posted on 25.
If
So
it would be on 24 hours, I think that would help a lot. But the speeding from Park Village down to Walker's Croft is just as bad as Kingstowne Commons. And the speeding sign close to the corner of Kingstowne Commons and Park Village is covered up by tree branches. You can't even see it. So they just gun it when they turn that corner.
where's the location that you have the vegetation problem with? Or where's
Park Village, the speed sign closest to Park Village.
on Kingstowne Commons?
Yes, if that was flashing, that may save a lot.
Okay.
Because I think people just think that's a speed zone.
Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to, you know, flash that speed limit sign. But if there is a problem with vegetation blocking the sight line to it, we can see if VDOT can get somebody out there to get that vegetation cleared. Okay.
Are there signs on Park Village as well? Because that's just they gun it when they leave Kingstowne Village Parkway up the hill, either down to Walker's Croft, or see how fast they can go around the corner to get on Kingstowne Commons. Unfortunately, I see this because
Are you asking me if you're...
both streets are equally speeding zones.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I have to stop walking when I see a car coming because they come in so fast.
So, I mean, I am seeing a speed limit sign on Park Village Drive. It looks like it might be about 100 feet past where the median ends at the intersection of Kingstowne Village Parkway and Park Village Drive.
But
So as you're...
they're not seeing these signs because they're totally ignoring them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not positive if it's a sight distance issue or if it's just they're not, you know, driving the speed limit when they see it. But we can see if some vegetation, because there is some vegetation on the trees as you approach that, could be blocking some of the sight line to it, and see if we can get that cleared out also.
Thank you.
I'm reporting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you all for
getting
your
that?
hard work.
Oh, you're welcome. So Aaron, you're notating that vegetation issue?
Yeah, I'm about to report it right now.
Okay, so that was Park Village, what is it, Park Village Drive as you're coming off of Kingstowne Village Parkway. And then was there an issue on Kingstowne Commons? And the one on Kingstowne Commons could have a conflict with some trees there too. So that probably wouldn't need to be checked. So that's the speed limit sign coming off of Park Village on Kingstowne Commons.
Right. That's the one I see because I walk that area.
Okay. All right. We'll see if VDOT can take a look and do
Thank
some
you.
trimming there. All right. Thank you.
I'll hang lights around it if you wish. I got solar lights. We can just attach them to the outside of the speed limit sign.
All right. We are not hearing that right now. So
Okay.
okay. All right. Thank you.
There was a question from Will. Can FCDOT provide a copy of the October 2024 engineering speed study showing that the 85th percentile speeds on Kingstowne Commons Drive met the VDOT FHWA warrant for vertical deflection? And specifically, can we provide the raw data that showed 15% of vehicles were traveling at or above 35 miles per hour?
Okay, so yeah, we will send that information out to the supervisor's office, and they can share it with the community.
Okay, and he asked both US DOT and VDOT note that vertical devices can increase noise from braking, acceleration, and cargo rattle, especially for trucks and buses. Were noise impacts evaluated for nearby homes, and will those results be shared?
So we do not do any noise study for these devices. We have no data on that to share. Generally, we're just looking for the community through the ballot process to help make that determination if that noise is going to be something that they are willing to have increase, to see if they can get a decrease in the operating speeds on the roadway.
Okay, and Shelby says, I really want speed tables, but his point about people accelerating past road speed and that open stretch is really valid. Is there any recourse up to VDOT to waive the spacing restrictions from intersections to get one more speed table between Roudsby and Heatherfield?
No, I mean, like I said, we've already negotiated down to 150. I don't think we're going to be able to get anything lower than that. They are never that comfortable when we're at that 150 distance. So I don't think they're going to let us go below that. We've approached them on occasion. So
You said though that you may be able to look at something else, though, Steve.
well, I don't think we're going to be able, if they get striping on the roadway, it could be difficult to put any horizontal deflection. I mean, possibly a choker would then, fit in the parking area that's already defined. But I don't think we would be able to do a raised median if you've already defined the travel lanes. That could be a challenge. And I mean, we can always go back in the future and take a look, see if some kind of median would fit in at the very intersection of Park Village and Kingstowne. But we looked at that for a while when we were there, and we don't think that we had the pavement width to do any narrowing like that at that intersection.
Let's chat about it tomorrow, maybe when you have a better chance to look at it.
All right. And like I said, if you're going to stripe this for parking lanes, that would put, it would make it more difficult to put in the raised median, and we might still be able to do a choker, but that again might be a little bit redundant if you've already striped the parking lanes.
True enough, but there is still some time. So if there's an addendum that needs to be made, we can potentially make it, but I'd have to ask VDOT. It may be past time. I truly don't know, but
okay. All right.
Caller has their hand raised with the last four digits of 8312. Go ahead. Just again, that's the caller on the line with the last digits of 8312.
It looks like their hand went down, but we do have a question in the chat from Will. How do you plan to enforce Fairfax County Code section 8251 regarding parking in or within 20 feet of an intersection? and they say it's an issue at Heatherfield Lane in terms of sight distance.
I don't know, Ebony or Beverly, would you like to take on any parking concerns that this person might have regarding sight distance at an intersection? That would be something that would, if it needed enforcement or was going to be enforced, I think there would have to be some signage up before the enforcement could happen. But
Hey, this is Will. Real quick, I asked VDOT about putting up a no parking from here to the corner sign to the eastbound side of Heatherfield, and they told me they've refused to put up a sign. And if someone parked there, I should just call the police and have them ticketed.
okay.
So
All right. So,
VDOT's told me they're not going to do anything, and so people park all the way to the corner, and people park across from the intersection. And again, when people are coming around that corner at 35, 40 miles an hour, you don't really have anywhere to go.
So something, Will, that we did to try and help this issue is when we asked VDOT to install these parking lanes, we also asked them to design it in such a way that the code sections were considered and that the parking lanes ended where the code sections would consider those. So 20 feet from intersections should be cut off with a white line. And if you see that they are beyond that line, then you'll know that they are in violation, and police should be called and they should be enforced. It also makes it really easy for police officers who may be driving by. They can easily see that there's a violation.
all right, thanks, Aaron. It does
Okay.
look like 8312 is back.
Yep. Back with your question. You can unmute.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry about that. This is Roberta with Widsford, one of the committee members. And have you given any thought to all the additional traffic that will happen once the townhouses are occupied on Beulah, the hospital goes up, and of course the new government center just down the street? Will there be perhaps a bigger police presence? And there will certainly be.
So it looks like we might have lost you a little bit there at the end. We're not able to do, unfortunately, the program that we have here tonight is one that's kind of reactionary. So we're able to respond to, existing travel conditions and traffic conditions. We're not able to do any kind of work in anticipation of future development through this process.
I think the only impact would be if it caused it to go over 6,000 in volume, correct? And I don't think that those caused it to go over 6,000 cars in volume.
Yeah, that would be a pretty large tick up in volume.
So you don't have any concern with the additional traffic that's going to happen with those three new entities coming to Beulah?
It's not that I don't have any concern. I'm not positive, what kind of traffic impact study or analysis was done for their, construction process or their development process. So,
okay.
Like I said, this program is to address existing conditions. So that's what we can do through this traffic calming program.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Grace, do we have anything left in the chat that hasn't been addressed?
I don't think so. I think we got everything. But if I missed your question, please let me know and I'll make sure to get to it.
Okay, Ryan has put up on the screen for those that are able to see the contact information for Fairfax County Department of Transportation. If you would like to email us regarding tonight's meeting, you can send that to dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov with Kingstowne Commons Drive traffic calming in the subject line, or you can call at 703-877-5600 and ask to talk to somebody about the Kingstowne Commons Drive traffic calming program or project. If you'd like to reach the Franconia District Office, you can email franconi@fairfaxcounty.gov with the same subject line filled in, Kingstowne Commons Drive traffic calming, or call 703-971-6262. Sorry about that. And Aaron has put his email address in the chat. So if you would like to reach out directly to Aaron, his email is in the chat, and you can ask him any questions or see if he can help contact either VDOT or FCDOT. And we will see if we can address any other concerns that come up after tonight's meeting. Okay, if we don't have any other questions, I think we'll go ahead and end the meeting for tonight. And like we said, if you do have questions or comments after the meeting, go ahead and use the various resources that we have for. And thank you everybody for attending, and have a pleasant evening.